It's happened to me, where the batteries just died for whatever reason. It gets replaced. It's easy. But you will have some weird errors coming from it. Your island of data, you might have been asking, where's the island of data? Well, actually it's on the side of the formatter. Just here. No, I don't know why they've put it there and not inside of the formatter, but there it is on the side of the formatter. Remember, this does have backup information. So if your formatter fails, the IOD fails, your hard disk drive fails, yeah, your main board fails, you must install each one at a time. Just like in the LaserJets. For your main board, main printed circuit assembly board, there are 45 flat cables in the Pro device. Okay, in the P and the E series devices, there are less. But just in the Pro device, there's 45 flat cables attached to this. Each one rated for 26 insertions and exertions. Okay, be patient when you're taking these cables out. Okay, some of them have latches. Some of them are zero force inserts, some of them have little knobbly bits on the side, some of them have a blue piece of plastic that you must take care of. Just be a little bit careful, because there's many times that the board has been burned from an incorrectly inserted flat cable, which then means we need to replace the main board. Okay guys, be careful please. It takes about 10 minutes once you've replaced the board and switched the printer on, for it to go back into the home screen. If it doesn't do it after 10 minutes, just switch the printer off and switch it back on. When we say switch the printer off and switch it back on, we don't mean just switch it off and then back on straight away. We ask you to switch it off, remove the plug, discharge the power, which means press the power button again, put the plug back in, and then switch it on. Okay? If it doesn't work, then basically escalate. When you replace the main board, one of the things that you do need to do though, however, is replace the eMMC on the main board. So you take it off the old one and you put down the new one. It's got the customer data on it, the customer settings that you need. Okay, but that is only done after rebooting the main PCA. So here's a backside view of the enterprise version, the E series PageWide. As you can see, lots of stuff in a tiny space. I believe our wonderful, beautiful assistant Armin is going to be giving us a short demo on this now.
Yep. Give me 1 second. And okay, we begin with the main board. See, this is an enterprise machine, and the enterprise machine with the main board and formatter. Yeah? You remember from yesterday we have two main boards. One is HP formatter and the other was Samsung side, and in this printer we have only HP technology. This is my formatter. I have here SDMS behind hard drive we have TPM, and of this side this is island of data. This is the same island of data from yesterday. We have here power supply. We see the enterprise machine, the same FFC cable from printed assembly, and for the removing of back cover. We have here 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Remove the screws, and this is the technology from push in, and we have the back side of the cover. And very important for the service to take in is this small green LED, and we see here a heartbeat, and we know we have power here. We have here for the power supply 220 volt, and this is not the first check-in on the power supply. And for the last demo from ADF on the scanner, we moved the roller from ADF. It's very easy, and the enterprise mission is the same. We moved the ADF roller. You see see this is one plate, and we have the ADF roller. We have here a very good scanner, and it's the same ultrasonic sensor from yesterday. Yeah, this small black thing, and one second. Oh. And this is a better scanner with back sys of this side. And when you have problems with the scanner, we remove completed AFD and flatbed scanner. You see that there's a different to yesterday from the scanner. And one trick with the display. I hope I can show this. No. This leg of the back side of the display. You see a small button here. And when I push this button, you see, you can check it, the display. This is for your test for the black display. And you know display is working, and the issue is of the formatter or whatever. And this is not an issue with the display. Okay. I am ready. Mr. Leighton, up to you.
Fab. Let me just share my screen again. There we go, we're back. Cool. So, yeah, those are the parts of the back of the machine and obviously the ADF and stuff. One thing I will comment on is that the PSU that you see here, obviously it's very big. And that's because in this machine we actually have a finisher. So we have a heated roller to make the page flat before it goes through the bridge, before it goes to the finisher. Now, obviously that's going to take a lot of power. In fact, if you look at it closely enough, you might wrongly interpret that it's a fuser. It's exactly the same fuser that we use in our laser jets, for instance. So yeah, the non-fuser in the HP Pagewide machines that we have does require a lot of energy, of course, so that's why we have this big PCU. If you compare this to the PCU that you find in a Pro machine, then the Pro machine is about half the size. Okay, just to give you a bit of a comparison to how things shape up there. Obviously, you can see the main control board here on the back of this Enterprise E version is a lot different than the Pro version. We actually have more cables rather than flat cables, which is great because nobody likes flat cables. But whenever you come across a flat cable, just take a little bit extra time to make sure that it's inserted correctly, that it's level. From experience on the courses that I do, I've seen many burns out of PCAs because the cables have not been inserted correctly. So this is why I'm pointing it out again. Yeah, you saw the button. It's even on the small screens as well, and this is the Enterprise with the Future Smart. This is where the colors light up on the screen and it goes through this cycle. The reason we have this is because we do have some errors in the machine where the screen will be completely black and you don't know whether it's a bad connection between the machine or whether it's the firmware that stopped working or whatever else. So one way to test the diagnostics of the screen is through this button, and it saves you a lot of time having that button, I must admit. I'm very glad to have it. Now, general approach to the print quality issues that we have. The general approach is this: update the firmware to start with, right? This is me saying this is not HP, I'm saying this. Update the firmware. Just update the firmware. Make this life easy. Go to the machine, even if it's one firmware behind, just update the firmware, because it will probably resolve whatever problem is with the machine. Okay, then what we can do is we can go in and we can actually go into the service print or the user print quality tools, and we can print out the samples. Obviously we want to print out all of the samples, including the sample that the customer is printing. And obviously we need to make sure that it's HP ink being used. We need to check the event logs for any errors. and we also need to check the quality of the paper they're using. Okay. So, is the paper colour lock? Is the question. Is there a lot of humidity or temperature factors? Is it an environmental issue? Are the settings and configurations correct, i.e. the media type? Because is it set to normal paper? Or is it set to 90 grams or 70 grams, or what's it set to? Yeah. Then, was it moved recently? Because that's like 9 times out of 10. It was recently moved, it's not printing well. If it's got ink mix ink, that's an easy one to solve out. You just print a full colour page. Are some nozzles out? Well, we can do tests on that as well. And obviously the original document quality, was it to a high standard, or are they trying to make a 300 by 300 DPI into a 1200 DPI? Colour lock paper. Now, I use colour lock paper in my printer. I have a office jet, and this is the paper I use. That is the colour lock symbol, as you can tell. This is not HP paper. This is just a standard paper that I picked up from the store. It's 80 grams, so very standard paper. You can't get more standard than just 80 grams standard paper. And it's not really cheap. It wasn't the cheapest one there, because I could have bought some plain white paper from China, which had not been cut correctly along the side. So I would say, guys, yes, you do still need to fan the paper in some cases, because it's that bad quality. Obviously, this is a HP training, so all the paper you see here is HP branded. Now, colour lock was invented by HP colour technician, okay? And the idea is that you have this liquid that we put on both sides of the paper, because we print in duplex, and this liquid evens out the paper even more. So even if it's not very good quality paper, it will bring the level of quality up. Okay, this is a very curious thing. This is why you'll get colour lock paper at the same price as a good quality standard paper. Okay, because you've actually increased how good it is. Now, the colour lock technology is without patent. Okay, we patented it. This is actually true, but we gave it away for free. So every single company that produces paper in the world has the ability to do colour lock. Now, if your customer says, well, I don't use that because I'm worried on their environment, so I use recycled paper, there's colour lock recycled paper. And when you're using colour lock, when you are going through the process of taking the ink or toner off the colour lock pages, then it actually falls away easier, because it's actually kept in the layer of the colour lock. It doesn't go down into the paper. Okay. So another thing that it does is its electrostatic properties of the paper. It actually evens all that out. So it'll add about 5 years to a laserjet printer. For a inkjet or a PageWide printer, it's the best thing you can do, because it takes the colour down, it keeps it at that top level, and it doesn't sink in, so you get better colours. This is literally a comparison here between two pieces of paper, right? This was obviously the standard rubbish paper you get that's cost nothing, and then you get good quality paper with colour lock, okay? Doesn't matter if the paper is bad quality, with colour lock, it would be good enough for a printer. So, what I have, whenever we go out to check printers, whenever we go out to fix printers, we have a ream of colour lock paper in the bag. And when we're doing our printouts, when we do the final printout for the customer to verify that everything's working okay, I go with this. And I go with a copy from their paper and a copy from my paper. And if they say their printout on their paper is bad, and I show them mine, and they say, no, that's great, that's what we want, that there. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to buy better quality paper if you want that, because it's nothing to do with the printer, it's the quality of the paper. And I know, unfortunately, they don't care. No, the sales team, when they sell the printer, they should say, okay, we're going to supply the paper as well, and we're going to supply decent paper, because then you would have less maintenance to do. Most of the maintenance caused in any of the printers is basically due to paper dust or bad paper. And it all relates back to what goes in comes out. So, bad in, bad out. Good in, good out. Simple as that. Now, I know in Africa, your supplier there's only one supplier for South Africa, and they have trouble getting colour paper because there's not a huge demand for colour paper. So it's been requested. They are slowly sorting this out, slower than HP do things. So it has taken a lot of time. But apparently they are going to get it soon, which is good. Now, the general approach to the print quality diagnostics is what you see on screen here. And the idea here is that you have a checklist that you go through. Okay? Now, if ever you're going to escalate this, you're going to need those steps, 1 to 5. Now, you don't have to do these in order. Okay? What's happened here is this set of steps is taken from the way the Pro system is set up. So it literally, when you go into the settings of the device, it says step 1, and you have print quality pre-checks right there in front of you. You can't go wrong. However, on the on the enterprise devices, the P and the E models, what you'll find is that this is actually a different sequence. It doesn't matter about what sequence you do this in. Okay, what matters is you collect all the diagnostics. Okay, and you escalate. There's nothing wrong with escalating a case. You can do only so much, and then you have to pass it on. I have escalated hundreds. Don't worry about it. When you're escalating it, you must have the things that are required for the escalation, otherwise it won't go anywhere. Okay, so get all those electronic files that you need, get the copies of the printouts, even get a copy, if you can, of the original image that is started all these issues. Okay, and then just escalate. Once you've done that, your job's done. Basically, you just need to walk away and wait, because there's not much more you can do. When you escalate this, if we do find that we need the printer to run further diagnostics on, depending on where you are in the world, depends where that printer gets shipped to. In the meantime, another printer is installed at the customer's location. Okay, so yeah, it does happen that we literally take a printer from the UK, it gets sent to the UK HP warehouse to be worked on, and from there it could even be sent to Houston, where they do the extended level support, because sometimes we just have errors inside the machines that don't make any sense, and we need to fix them. So, no problem in escalating. So, some proactive tips. 1, don't share the cartridges between the machines. Doesn't matter whatever reason, just get a new set of cartridges. Your life will be so much simpler if you do this. Especially if you're doing any in-house repairs. Use a new set of cartridges. The reason for that is, officially, the security program embedded within the cartridges only lets you change the cartridge between 3 machines. Okay? So you take it out of one machine, you put it in another machine. You take it out of that machine, you return it back to the original machine. Once you've taken it out of that machine again, what you'll find is it stops working. Okay? Now, if somebody else has already done that and you don't know about it, then the time that you take it out and put it in another machine, the device is going to say, this cartridge is not for this device. Okay, it's activated the security program because it feels like it's being messed with too much. So just use a new set of cartridges. Okay. Any manual intervention or recovery attempts are actually recorded in the printhead's EEPROM. Okay. This is why you need to download the debug data, because it will take a copy of that and put it on the USB, and then you send that to HP. Okay. Now, what happens is when you send the printhead back, they're going to compare them. So if you've wiped the printhead, okay, they are going to rely on the USB, and they're going to put whatever was on the USB back on the printhead so they can test it. Okay. Honestly, though, if you're sending a printhead back to HP, you shouldn't really have been wiping anything, unless it was part of the previous process of fixing it. They will check. So they will know if you've done the correct interventions or not. There are lots and lots and lots of tools, including the printhead status page. Okay, you need to use these as part of your diagnostics, and you need to know how to use them as part of your diagnostics, because this will save you time, and it will save HP and your company money. Okay, and if we save money, then that usually gets passed back on to the company. So it's kind of a good thing, because we all like having a job. These are your passwords for the printers. Okay, it starts 0507 for Pro, 0507517. Now, what is this? Well, 050 is the month that product was released, 750 is the model, and 17 is the year. Okay, on the P and the E series, you've got a single function or multifunction. Obviously, different code, different devices. For reboots, whenever you enter the service mode on a future smart device, you have to enter the PIN, and then it resets the machine into the service mode, and then you have to enter the PIN again. This doesn't happen on a Pro device, it just resets and you carry on. So they're a little bit different. Another thing is that, yeah, this is using Future Smart and Future Smart Line. And as you know, Future Smart has just been updated to Future Smart 5.1, not 4.10 or 11. So you should be upgrading all of the machines that you have now with number 5. Oh, and when you install the Future Smart firmware, another thing, you don't need to do it from the preboot menu. In fact, we tell you do not do it from the preboot menu, because you force the machine to do this install. What we want is the machine to take the new firmware and distribute it itself, not force it on, because if you force it onto the machine, errors can occur. However, if you don't have access to get into the machine to be able to install the firmware, then maybe the only way you can do this is through the preboot function. And in that case, then yeah, sure, go ahead. Sometimes it has to be done like this. So this is the Pro Service menu. As you can see, it's listed as step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So this is where that original idea came from. On the enterprise versions, it doesn't work like this. So you just do it in any order. Okay. And these are the tests that you do. Notice that you do have questions here, print nozzle health page on 2 different areas. Okay. That is not a mistake. That is correct because you're different tests. So if I was evaluating the drop detect status, I do these. If I was evaluating the novel health status, I would do this. Okay. Same test, but for different things. And then the advanced quality tools. Now, this extensive clean the print head is actually supposed to dump 1,000 pages of ink at a time. So you should only run this twice. However, if you have upgraded the firmware on this device, then what you'll find is this does not exist anymore. And it was taken off because people were using it too often. Instead of using the standard clean print head, they were doing it extensive. So it's been removed. Honestly, the only time I ever used this was when I had a really, really, really bad problem, and it actually said in the manual to do it like this. I've never used this just because it is not a pre-maintenance check. You don't do it before that. When you're cleaning the print head, you only ever do this for a print quality issue. It's nothing to do with pre-maintenance, okay? On the Enterprise, as you can see, it looks completely different. Advanced service status, you've got all your statuses there. And then calibrations and cleaning, you've got all of this here. So you can do everything. You can test every sensor, every motor, everything from this menu. So those are the sensors. As you can see, all of the sensors are there. And then all of the components test, so you've got your motors there as well. Okay. Everything you could possibly want to test, you can test. This is a nice one. So at some point, you may need to reclaim the colours from the reservoirs. Okay, this is because the reservoir, as we call it, is basically all those tubes in the printhead assembly, and you may need to take them, empty them. So this is when you would use that. Okay. Oh, and obviously, if you put in a new printhead or you're installing it for the first time, this is where you would go to initialize the printhead or validate the printhead assembly. Before we get into the print quality troubleshooting, is everybody okay where we are with the hardware, where we are with cartridges? Does it all make sense? No, you cannot clone the hard disk drive. Sorry. Okay, the hard disk drive is actually partitioned in a certain way. So, no, you can't clone it onto an SSD. Otherwise, it just won't work. We've tried it. We thought, oh, we can get a bit more speed out of this now. Just stick with standard HDD. Okay. Good, I'm glad everybody's okay with what's going on. Right, so, troubleshooting tools. Basically, 90% of any print quality issue will be resolved just by going through this print quality check here. Okay. 10%, okay, we're going to have to replace the printhead assembly. What I find within that 10% as well is that there's about 5% of these machines being used that the people don't really care about the quality of the print because it's just used for internal memos and stuff. So I've been to printers and they've got loads of white lines going down the page, and it was because of a stapler had gone through it, or actually a few staples had gone through it, and the guys in the office were like, it doesn't matter, we can read what's actually there, and we're not going to buy a new printer, because they had to buy a new printer because it was their fault that this happened. Okay, so that print quality issue, they're not willing to buy a new printer because of the mistake they made. Fine, you know, we're happy with that. When it's end of the contract, new printer. So, here we go for the print quality tools. Support tools, troubleshooting, print quality, diagnostics. Okay, this is one of your first diagnostics page. What you see along the bottom, it says 0 to 13. Okay, you've got 14 die, remember. So you're actually able to pinpoint on this where the problem is. As you can see, nothing wrong here, it's absolutely fine. This is what it should look like. However, if you want to go a bit deeper to the advanced print quality, you can actually find here dimensional image quality and the single color pages. Okay, if you've got mixing of inks, this is what you're going to be printing out, single color pages. Okay, if you have streaks on the page, then you print streaks page. However, we have a single one for yellow. We have a special one for yellow. It is super hard to diagnose streaks on a yellow image. Okay, so if I'm looking at a green image, I find it's streaking a bit, I'm going to have to print out a yellow streaks test page to make sure that it's not the yellow, that it's the cyan or whatever. Yeah, so that's why we have these. Now, the printhead health gauge here, super important. So it's in support tools, advanced calibration, printhead status, printhead health gauge. It says printhead health score here, means the same thing. Basically, what you're looking for is the first number to be a 0. 0 is good. 0 means HP. If it's a 1, that means it's been used non-HP ink. Okay? At this stage, really, HP is going to do this. The problem is with the ink. Okay, obviously you need to do a little bit more investigating. It's not 100% accurate. There is always room for error. So, more or less this is correct, but you can't take it at 100%. So yes, 1 or 0. 0 good, 1 bad. Then you get your score for black. Then you get your score for the CMYK. Then you get the prints on the month. This is the number of pages that are actually recorded, printed. Then you get the page count when it was last updated, and the last event error. Oh, sorry, the last error event. That says, yeah. This is just a general example of the print quality issues that you will find on these products. Now, all of these can be repaired, right? It can come back from all of these, okay? This happens once you've run the printhead clean. When you clean the printhead, this is actually comes out quite often. All you need to do is just run a couple of pages and it sorts itself out. Okay, streaks down the page, that can be quite a few different things. Basically, you end up running the clean the print head 4 times and printing more pages, and that resolves itself. This one, same. This one's a little bit different. I'll come back to this one in a second. Okay, vertical white bands are something I hate to see. If I've got a full band down all the pages, that's the same width as die, then that die's been switched off. And I need to find out why that die's been switched off. It's either there's so many damaged nozzles in that one die that it's switched off, or there's a motor issue with the through beam optical detect, or something else has gone wrong in the software. Okay, so normally, if it's a full block, that's a problem. If it's just this, then we can usually recover from it, unless of course the stapler's gone through it. Color mixing, color intensity, color variation, it's actually the same thing. It's super easy to sort this out. Now going back to this one. This, if we look closely, there's actually a piece of black material here. This, when we took this image, it was actually a hair, believe it or not, that had stuck on the page, and it had dragged along the bottom of the nozzles. So it was actually the hair. Once we printed it a couple of times, it disappeared and everything was fine. Again, troubleshooting manual, page 266, for a complete description of all this. Yeah, I am going to be very surprised if nobody's come across this before, which is density calibration issues. Okay. Now, if the firmware hasn't been updated, then you're going to have this. Right? And it just kicks in all of a sudden. It was a weird one. Everything was fine. It was a nice sunny day. I was just about to go and have a beer. Gluten-free beer, unfortunately, because my life sucks. But yeah, I was going to have a gluten-free beer. I was sat down, getting ready, all ready, and then all of a sudden got a phone call and this had happened. Basically, for some strange reason, density had just gone off. Right, so I got there, I went through loads of stuff to do with it, realised then that the firmware hadn't been upgraded the firmware, I printed a couple of pages and I was done. And I could go back home. But it's always on a Friday at the last hour where you get things like this. Okay, so this is the solution and this is why it's included in here. We talked about vertical dark lines before. Vertical dark lines are not a print quality issue. Okay, that's correct. It should have dark lines on this printed page here. No problem. And then ink smear or redeposit, okay, which you see here on the edges of the page. This means that inside the printer is dirty and it needs to be cleaned. So you can use a shim cleaning kit, okay, which is sort of like a spongy type of paper that you just pull through. Honestly, just running about a couple of blank pages through the device usually cleans it just as good. Okay, so this is a full color page. We have this also in cyan and yellow, and they look exactly the same. You have the banding from the dark line because of the overlap of the die, and then you have these words written here. Yeah, so if you just print out a yellow blank page, don't freak out thinking that you've got something missing. It's actually supposed to be there. This is the diagnostics page that HP always requests, and they always request this. If you don't send this, then they get really annoyed with you. Do not change the file name when you're downloading the diagnostic data. You leave it as is, and the images that you send must be in a TIFF format, so they can't be compressed. Okay. For me, I understand some of the information on here. Most of it, I'm just like, yeah, sure. Not for me to understand. Move it up. So, troubleshooting menu here on the support tools, print quality, advanced. This is the print quality test page. This is usually the first page you print. Okay. As it says before extensive printhead cleaning, resolves missing nozzles, recovers missing nozzles, uses ink, which some customers may not like, but it's good procedure for solving print quality issues. Okay, your customers hate it. Never tell the customer you're about to spend 500 pages of ink. They won't be charged for it anyway because it's classed as the maintenance service, so they shouldn't be so worried. But obviously you will need to print pages, so this is why I recommend taking a stack of paper with you, because the customers don't like you using their pages. Okay. After extensive print clean, again, normal. Okay, you just need to run a couple of pages and it's fine. We have a special page for the printhead assembly when you need to return it to HP. That is the number there for the form. We also have like all these little checks that you need to do for print quality diagnostics, so it's there for you. You can print this off and use it. It's easy peasy. Armin will show us a couple of the pages now, I believe, if he's ready.
I hope.
Hey.
Okay, guys. Small demo, and we begin with the first thing. Okay, from here, the service menu for the support tools, so testing airflow system motors and whatever you can testing test. And for the example, we make a small test. This is the fan from the dryer, and we started, and we see the information. This is working, and when we tested here this hardware, we know the hardware is working or the hardware is not working. Yeah? So very, very cool for you, and then you search the issue. Support tools, I can print very, very cool pages, and ever, when we have problems with print quality, when you have when your customer have problems with the print quality, the first thing to testing is this one, printed status, and printed status is here okay, and we know the printer has original HP ink, and this is very, very important point. Yeah? And when you have print quality issues, the biggest issue is customer have a PageWide printer with all options, and the printer is not printing. And customers say, okay, I have the biggest machine from HP, and I printed 1 page per week. Nice, very, very nice. And PageWide machine must printing, and when the machine is printing, customer don't have print quality issues. Very, very important point. Okay. First page, print status, okay, ink is okay, it's original ink from HP. The next step is mine print quality report, and we see here this number, this die number from the printhead. We have here 14 dies, yeah, and I hope you see small issue from the dice here. I hope you can see the white line here. And this is a small issue. I printed more pages, and the issue is yeah, not here, the printer. Print quality report. I can print it with my page. Status. No, my config page. Config page, okay. I know this is the printer. I see for the name here, this is a managed machine. We have 5 letters, yeah. Yes, we see my firmware version, and firmware version is just like 4.10, and I see more information from TPMs enabled, not enabled, hard drive, and whatever. The printed assembly report, we see here printhead usage. This is for the printing and for the cleaning. We see this value. We see less error codes from the printhead. And the next step, when you have issues with the print quality. this page is in the printer. You can print this page, but in my eyes, this page is not perfect. Why? You see, this here is die number 1. We see of this page, sorry, die number 1, this is of this page is empty. When you have problems, issues in die number 1, okay, print other page, or print this one, print quality report, and you know all dies are printed, or nozzles are printed, okay? And the next, you have this one, and this is very cool and very funny, and you see in real dark lines. This is die overlap here. This is a dark line, and this comes from a die overlap. The next, my diagnostic page, important for escalation for HP. Yeah, we have here all information for the printer, and here we have more information, or HP now information for the parameters. We see the training machine is all values are 0, yeah, no information. This is only for the training machine. And then the machine by your customer, you see parameters and HP know these parameters. And the next, top of form sensor. This is the page, and you make first one is here. And yeah, I can see in the real, in the GoPro, we don't see this position, and this position is the same. Yeah, and you can check this, and we see here, wow, only cyan, black page, yellow page, magenta page, all is working, and the funnest page ever is this one. This is for the beam detector for the small black carriage instead of printer. And light, I hope, no, it's not light. I hope you can see. Ever nozzle is printed one dot, and we see this page here, and we see DOP detector is working, and the DOP detector tested all nozzles for the working or not working. Yeah. And this is very, very fun page. By color yellow is yeah. You need light and from the window, and you can look from the window and you see color yellow is working or not working. Okay, Mr. Leighton, up to you.
Could you do me a favor and do the test for the wiper? So
The wiper?
yeah, go to the uncap and cap printhead. Show us where that is, because we have lots of time.
Uncap the pinhead, okay.
So let's have a look at that before you do it.
Oh, sorry.
So where is it? Because we can't really see very well the screen, unfortunately. Armin.
Yep. Yeah.
What is the way to get there? Because we can't really see the screen. We're too far away.
Oh, okay. Okay. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, one hand is okay. Give me 1 second and test it as for the auto printer. This is better for me. And when you start it in the service menu, from this device, the printer is restarted in the service menu, and you need 2-3 minutes. Okay. Uncap the printer. Okay. and start. I don't see. No.
No, we're too far away. You need to go closer to the machine.
Yeah.
Alright, don't worry about it.
Okay. Go.
Cruz.
So, anyway, back to this. So, the test that you would actually use to check that the printhead wiper is in the correct position would be twofold. So there's a uncap and cap the printhead, and then there's also one where you actually do a printhead calibration. Okay, both of those work very well for moving the wiper. So once it's moved the wiper, it actually checks its position and everything, and from there you're pretty secure that your printhead wiper is not racked. So, use of non-HP inks is not allowed. Full page, just to say that, it's not allowed. But what the small print actually says is, it is allowed, you can use it in the transactional printers. However, because it's not formatted the same way as HP ink is, it will probably block the nozzles. And then all the nozzles will stop working, and that's due to the ink, not a fault of the actual machine. Meaning that we're not going to pay for any damage that happens